Hello everyone, this is architect Saloni Bandhu and architect Shashi Singh from APJ School of Architecture and Planning, Greater Noida. We welcome you all to this e-learning series. Today we will be discussing vernacular architecture of the world, taking specific examples from the polar region. World's climate can be broadly broken into six types of climatic zones, which is polar, temperate, arid, tropical, Mediterranean and mountains. On this world map, in blue color is the polar climatic zone, green is the temperate zone, yellow is arid zone, brown is tropical zone, mustard color is Mediterranean and black is mountains. Talking about the polar region, as already mentioned, polar region is marked in blue. We will be discussing three case studies. First one is the most common case study of an igloo in Arctic region. Second is sword house or turf house of Canada and Iceland. And third is Chum located in Yamal Peninsula of Russia in Siberian region. Before we start discussing the examples, we need to understand the basic climatic characteristics and the rules to be followed while creating a dwelling unit in this climatic zone. The polar region is very cold and dry all year round. In this climate, winter is the dominant season. Heating degrees days greatly exceed the cooling degree days. Predominant concern is conserving the heat. The rules to be followed are: first is insulate. The buildings are built tightly so as to reduce the air changes. The second is insulate, that is exposed to sun rays, and fenestration to be done in a way to get direct heat gains. The orientation of the building should be according to the sun. Maximize south facing windows and apply thermal mass inside the building envelope to store heat. The first example we will be discussing today is of igloos from Central Arctic region of Canada. An igloo is also known as a snow house or a snow hut. It is a temporary winter home or hunting ground dwelling of Canadian and Greenland Inuits and Eskimos. This type of shelter is built of snow blocks and is dome shaped. Snow is used as a building material as there are air pockets trapped in it which make it an insulator. The outside temperature may be as low as -45 degrees Celsius, but the temperature inside an igloo ranges from -7 degrees to 16 degrees due to the construction techniques and the material used. Talking about the location and geographical setting of Central Arctic Canada, this place is known as Canadian Arctic Archipelago. It is a group of islands lying to the north of Canadian continental mainland. It consists of 36,563 islands, of which 94 are classified as major islands. This place is bounded on the west by Beaufort Sea, on the northwest by Arctic Ocean, on the east by Greenland, and on the south by Hudson Bay and the Canadian mainland. These islands are separated from each other by a series of waterways. The climate of the Central Arctic region is characterized by long winters and short cool summers. This place experiences extreme solar radiations in both summers and winters. It is covered by ice year-round, and nearly all areas experience long period with some form of ice on the surface. The climate of this region is moderated by ocean water, which can never have a temperature below -2 degrees centigrade. In winters, this relatively warm water, even though covered with polar ice pack, keeps the North Pole from being the coldest place in the northern hemisphere, making this place habitable for humans. Talking about the people, culture, and traditions. This place is inhabited by Inuits and the Eskimos. Inuit itself means the people. These are the nomadic tribe and the indigenous people of Arctic region. These people move between summer and winter camps to hunt and have inhabited this place for more than 1000 years. The Inuits are traditionally hunters and fishermen. They follow a strong gender role component. Family and community are considered to be very important. Traditionally, storytelling, music, and dance are important parts of culture. The Inuits lived in an environment that inspired a mythology filled with shamanism and animist principles. The language spoken in this area is Inuktitut. There is a small video showing the culture and tradition of the people. Talking about the settlement pattern, the Central Arctic region is the most sparsely populated inhabited region on Earth. The settlements are very small and are clustered along the coastal areas. Iqaluit is the administrative, commercial, and cultural center of the territory and is the largest town of the region. Among the other towns are Rankin Inlet on the northwest coast of Hudson Bay, Pangnirtung on Baffin Islands, and Cambridge Bay on the southeast coast of Victorian Islands. Talking about the vernacular building of igloo, igloo is the traditional shelter of Inuits. These are dome-shaped shelters constructed in cut snow masonry with an arched tunnel entrance. The aim of the shelter is to control wind and wetness inside. Temperature comfort range inside this shelter may not be within the general favorable range, but environment inside the shelter is well above survival mode. An igloo is large enough to shelter 2 or 3 people and has an internal diameter of at least 2 meters. Blocks of snow are placed in a circular form in which the wall curves inward towards the top to form a snow vault in which arched ceiling is self-supporting. The design includes a tunnel at the entrance that forms a trap to preserve heat inside. The sleeping and sitting area is raised above this so that it maintains a higher temperature. This is shown in the figure on the right. A small hole near the top of the igloo is provided for ventilation. Due to snow's excellent insulating property, the igloo retains heat and protects against wind. Cover of carnivore fur are used inside to keep person comfortable while sleeping. Living area is lined with animal skin, which increases the temperature within from 2 degrees to 10 to 20 degrees centigrade. The entire cross-section of a parabolic shaped igloo is in compression while other parts in tension, so therefore a much stronger structure is built. A stone lamp is lit inside the igloo to maintain the heat inside. The heat from this lamp causes the interiors to melt slightly. This melting and freezing builds up an ice sheet inside and contributes to the strength of an igloo. Thus, the igloo becomes a house of ice rather than house of snow. A clear piece of ice or intestines of a seal is inserted for a window. Talking about the type of igloos. Traditionally, there are three types of igloos, all of different sizes and used for different purposes. The smallest are temporary shelters, usually used for 1 or 2 nights. These are built and used during the hunting trips and are often on the open sea ice. The second is intermediate sized igloos. These are semi permanent family dwellings. This is usually a single room dwelling that houses 1 or 2 families. Often there are several of these small structures which form a village. The third is the largest igloo. These are normally built in a group of two. Generally, one structure is permanent and one structure is temporary. The permanent structure is used for living and the temporary structure is built for special occasions. These are large igloos and they might have had up to 5 rooms and can house up to 20 peoples. This may be constructed from joining small igloos by the tunnels, having a common access to the outside. These are used to hold community feasts and traditional dances. On the bottom right is an example of a large igloo. Talking about the construction of an igloo. As we know, igloo is a dome which is not a hemisphere but a parabola. This is raised out of independent blocks leaning on each other and polished to fit without any additional supporting structure during construction. Deep snowdrift or fine-grained compact snow is cut into blocks and used. These blocks measure approximately 2 feet by 4 feet by 8 inches in size. The key feature of the structure is the spiral form that results from cutting the blocks in wedge shape. From that point onwards, a continuous upward spiral produces a self-supporting dome structure. This is shown in the picture on the right bottom. The steps followed in the construction of an igloo are: first is compressing the snow with the snowshoes to make a solid foundation for an igloo. Second is cutting the snow blocks from a natural snow field. Third is metering the edges of a snow block to make a tighter fit and a stronger structure. Fourth is placing the snow blocks in the first row. These should be equal in height and placed in a circular manner. Fifth is, with an eye, check the top edge of the block so as to form a dome. This image shows the built dome. The lines drawn parallel to the slanting top of all snow blocks should point to the center of the igloo. The parabolic shape of the dome ensures the optimum distribution of bearing forces. The final result looks like this. We have a short video coming up next on construction of an igloo to make things more clear. This is a more detailed video on the construction of an igloo. Quincy E is a structure which looks similar to an igloo. It is made by hollowing out a pile of settled snow. This structure is actually a contrast to an igloo, which is made from blocks of snow. The snow quality used for this structure is not same as used for an igloo. Quincy E is a temporary structure, whereas igloo can be used for seasonal and year-round habitation. The construction of these is easier as compared to an igloo. The overall structure is less sturdy and more prone to collapsing in harsh weather conditions. These are constructed in times of necessity and usually used as an instrument of survival. Another example of polar region we will be discussing today is Turf House, also called Sword House of Iceland. Turf House of Iceland are grass-roofed houses and are a part of country's persona and heritage. Vikings have lived in these houses for 1100 years. In the rough climate and isolation, turf houses retain heat and warmth inside. Variation of turf houses are found in many countries like Ireland, Norway, Greenland, Netherlands, and in some parts of USA. Talking about geographical setting of Iceland, Iceland is located at the juncture of North Atlantic and Arctic Ocean. The main island is entirely south of Arctic Circle. It is geographically closer to continental Europe than mainland North America. Therefore, the island is generally included in Europe for historical, political, cultural, and practical reasons. It is also world's 18th largest island. The climate of Iceland is cold, cloudy, and windy most year round. Iceland is a cold country because of its high latitude and also because it receives cold winds from North Pole. There is a limited range of temperature variation between day and night as well as winters and summers. Also, there is a total absence of trees on the island. In the inland areas, there are plateaus and mountains where the temperature naturally decreases with the altitude. The summers are cold. Also, this place experiences high snowfall. Winters are relatively mild for its latitude owing to its maritime influence and proximity to the sea. In summers, the average July temperature of the island is 10 to 13 degrees centigrade. Talking about the history and people, the recorded history of Iceland began with settlement by Viking explorers and their slaves in the 9th century. The first permanent settler was Norwegian chieftain. He was followed by many more chieftains and their families who inhabited the place. These people were primarily Norwegian, Irish, and of Scottish origin. The Iceland's language, custom, and historical background is linked to Scandinavia. The men worked as craftsmen, traders, and farmers, and women did all household jobs and also helped on the farm. When discussing the settlement pattern, as we already know, Iceland was settled by Norsemen around 9th century. The earliest settlements are found near estuaries of large rivers, and other settlements were found in a string form along the rivers. The farms which had churches on them came to be the center of the village. In this plan, this is the seaside and these are the rivers. The larger dots are major estates with plus 60-100 population and smaller dots are the estates with plus 40-100 population. On the right is the plan of the settlement of Vikings. The settlement is called Herjolfsdalur in the Westman Island on the south coast of Iceland. In this, 1 and 2 are long houses, 8 and 4 is the byre type of a house, and house number 1 and 3 are long houses which had a cooking pit. In this, house number 2 and 5 are connected to the byre type of a house. Talking about the vernacular buildings, an important factor to be considered is that the architecture of this place is influenced by the lack of trees. As a result, grass and turf covered houses were developed. Turf is basically grass and surface layer of earth held together by the roots of the grass. The walls and roof of the house is also built in turf. The advantage of building the roof in turf is that it helps to compress the logs and makes the walls more drought proof. This kind of walls and roofs work as an insulator in cold climate. The design of a turf house is characterized by simplicity, minimalism, and functionality. Here are some examples of turf houses. The houses differ on the basis of purpose, time, and family resources, but are similar in the overall construction technology followed. The stone farmhouse is a permanent continuous occupied structure built. It is from Norse era and owned by the wealthy families. The Lennox Ox Meadows were temporary structures for ship repair from the mid of the Norris era. The Long House. This type of houses are divided into several rooms along the length by turf or wooden walls. At the east end there is a small entrance and a storage area with an exterior door on the south side. At the west end is the pantry with another exterior door on the north side. The main hall is in the middle of the house, which takes up most of the floor area, with a fire pit in the middle and benches lined on both sides of this room. This hall is the main room of the house. Daily indoor activities are performed here. Food is also prepared in this room on fire. In addition to the main room, two additional rooms are stuck onto the back of the main building. One side room was used for dairy storage and the other side room is used as the lavatory. These are the two pictures showing the dairy storage and the lavatory. Despite of the lack of trees, turf houses have some wooden parts in addition to the wooden frame structure. Some houses have interior wooden paneling on the wall and wooden floor. Because wood was difficult to obtain, the amount of wood in the house depends on the wealth of the owner. Basically, wood is used in the interiors due to its thermal mass. Other things to notice in the interiors are in the main room wooden benches are lower and deeper which are more suitable for sleeping. It also has a bed closet located on the top of the bench for storage purpose. This is a typical plan and section of a turf house. Talking about the construction techniques of the turf houses. The building is solely made of grass, wood and stone. Most turf houses have a wooden frame structure. The turf is cut from the ground and the mats are then stacked on top of each other to form a wall. The turf blocks are approximately 50 centimeters by 150 centimeters and are 20 centimeters thick. The roof is also made of turf and it was traditionally made waterproof with tree barks. It has a stone foundation which prevents the moisture from the ground to rise up the wall, which increases the lifespan of the structure. The roots of the grass holds the turf together, which deteriorates over time, so the turf needs to be periodically replaced. Depending on the quality of the turf and the climatic conditions, the turf would last from 20 years to a maximum of 70 years. After the old turf is replaced with the new, the original wooden frame and the stone foundations could be kept. The grass on the roof and the walls is living. In the time of drought, the grass is stressed and may die off, but good weather allows flowers and weeds to bloom on the roof. Talking about the climatic benefits of turf house, these houses create a comfortable indoor climate. They have a fairly stable temperature inside throughout the year. They are warm in winters and cool in summers. Turf walls are thicker than timber walls, and this provides extra insulation. Because of the grass and the roots, turf is also a better insulator than stone and wood. The shape of the house is such that it blends with the landscape. Wind passes above the turf houses, which creates less cold draft. The sun stays low because of the elevated latitude, which leads to small and low windows. In some houses, animals are kept indoors in the rooms below the bedrooms so that the heat from the animals keeps the houses warm. One disadvantage of such structure is that it requires frequent maintenance and are vulnerable to rain damage, especially if the roof is also primarily made of the turf. We have a short video showing the interiors and exteriors of a turf house. The last example from the polar climate we will be discussing today is chum houses of Russia. In Russian, the term chum or yurt both means tent shelter. Chums are located on the frozen marshland of Yamal Peninsula in northwest Siberia of Russia. These are temporary dwellings used by the nomadic Ehrlichs like Nenets, Nasagans, Inets, Mansi, Komi, etc. These tribes are reindeer herders of Siberia. Some tribes from Mongolia and China also use chums. During the period of migration, chums are moved frequently. Talking about the geographical setting, as already told, chums are located in the Yaman Peninsula. Yaman Peninsula is located in the Yamlo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug of northwest Siberia, Russia. It roughly extends to 700 kilometers and is bordered principally by Kara Sea, Bedretskaya Bay on the west and Gulf of Ob on the east. At the northern end of this peninsula is Malayjina Strait and is close to the Arctic Circle. In the local language, Nenets Yamal means end of land. Discussing about the climate of Yaman Peninsula, this place has short summers and long, brutally cold winters. Although this place experiences cold winters, it has fairly warm summers lasting at least for 4 months. This place is covered in snow for almost 7 to 8 months. The annual average temperature is about 0.5 degrees centigrade. January average temperature is about minus 20 degrees centigrade and July is about 19 degrees centigrade. Talking about the history and people, Nenets are Shemyoidic ethnic group natives to northern Arctic Russia. This community inhabits the coastline of Arctic Circle between Kola and Timor Peninsula. These people speak tundra or forest Ninets language. Their main subsistence comes from hunting and reindeer herding. They have a shamanistic and animistic belief system which stresses on respect for the land and its resources. Also, they have a clan-based social structure. Talking about settlement, Choom sites are chosen based on pasture and ground quality with a water source nearby. After checking the vegetation on a Choom site, the brigadier pushes his reindeer driving stick, called a kohiri, into the ground where he wants the center of the Chooms to be. The settlement pattern is random as the accommodation is set up for a very short period of time. Talking about vernacular dwelling of a choom. Chooms are around 30 feet in diameter and around 20 feet in height. Choom consists of a reindeer hide sewn together and wrapped around wooden poles that are organized in a circular manner. These reindeer skins have a capacity to absorb and retain heat. These hides are arranged in two layers. The outer layer faces hair outwards, with the inner layer facing the hair inwards. In the middle of the choom there is a fireplace used for generating enough heat to keep everybody comfortable and also keeps the mosquitoes away. The smoke escapes through a hole on the top of the choom. Some other facts about chooms are the canvas and the wooden poles are very heavy and are transported using the reindeers. The sledge and the caravans are arranged in half circle around the chooms with a sacred sledge always behind the choom pointing directly at its center. Sledges are assembled from different wooden parts which fit into each other. No nails and screws are used. These sledges are used for several years for traveling long distances in summer as well as winters. When it's time to move to a new pasture, the reindeer herds is gathered in one place. Men and women pick sledges respectively and move. We have a short video showing the lifestyle, settlement and the dwelling of a choom of Ninet community.
잠깐만, 소등공주 없는 건 봐봐.
So this was all about vernacular architecture of the polar region of the world. Thank you so much for listening.